I want to tell you about two sisters, same parents, same house growing up in Columbus, Ohio, same bedroom they shared until they were teenagers, same public school, same college, Ohio State, 2 years apart. Their parents weren't wealthy, but they weren't struggling either. Both sisters got the same starting line. Today, Danielle is 41. She's a marketing director at a mid-size company making $91,000 a year. She drives a leased 2024 Acura MDX. She lives in a four-bedroom house in a suburb she chose specifically for the school district, even though her kids are 4 and 7, and she's paying $3,100 a month for a house that has a guest room and a home office that mostly hold boxes. Her kitchen was renovated last year. Quartz countertops, custom cabinetry, the whole thing. She takes 2 family vacations a year, both of which go on credit cards she tells herself she'll pay off by summer. She gets her nails done every 2 weeks. She has a Peloton she uses twice a month. Her Instagram looks like a lifestyle blog. To everyone who knows her, Danielle has made it. Her sister, Rachel, is 38. She's a project manager at a logistics company making $84,000 a year. She drives a 2018 Toyota RAV4 with 74,000 miles on it. She rents a 2-bedroom apartment that is clean, comfortable, and completely unremarkable. She shops at Target and Trader Joe's. Her colleagues have never once seen her post about a vacation, a renovation, or a restaurant. At birthday dinners, she always splits the check but never orders the most expensive thing on the menu. Most people who know Rachel assume she's quietly behind, maybe still paying off student loans, maybe helping family, maybe just not as far along as she should be at 38. What they don't know is this. Rachel has $387,000 in index funds. She has $41,000 in a high-yield savings account. Her net worth crossed $428,000 last year. She has no debt, none. Her monthly expenses total $3,200, and she is on pace to retire at 54. Not because she has an exceptional salary, but because of something most people never learn to see. Danielle has $4,300 in her checking account, $27,000 spread across 4 credit cards, a car lease she can't exit for 19 more months, and a mortgage that requires both her income and her husband's to stay current. She earns $91,000 a year and lives with a low-level financial anxiety she has quietly accepted as the price of her lifestyle. Same family, same starting point, 7 years apart in age. The income gap is $7,000 in Danielle's favor. The wealth gap is $428,000 in Rachel's favor, and it grows wider every month. This isn't a story about who worked harder. It's not about who got lucky or who sacrificed more. It's about something I call the lifestyle tax, a hidden bill that most Americans pay every single month without ever seeing the invoice. A charge that gets applied silently to every income increase, every promotion, every raise, until the entire surplus is gone before it ever has a chance to compound. Danielle pays the lifestyle tax at a rate most people would find alarming if they could see it clearly. Rachel learned how to stop paying it, and the difference between those two choices is worth conservatively $500,000 over a working lifetime. Today, I'm going to give you the 15 rules that Rachel lives by, the exact principles that let ordinary earners quietly accumulate extraordinary wealth, while everyone around them assumes they're just getting by. My name is Sophia, and I have spent way too much time studying the hidden mechanics of wealth, the patterns that separate people who build real financial security from people who earn good incomes and somehow never get ahead. If this video changes how you think about money, hit that subscribe button, because your future self is going to want more of this. Let's get into it. Before we get to the 15 rules, I need to explain the core concept, because once you understand what the lifestyle tax actually is, every rule that follows makes immediate sense. The lifestyle tax is not a line item on your bank statement. No institution charges it, no government collects it, but it is extracted from you, reliably, predictably, invisibly, every time your income increases and your lifestyle inflates to match it. Here's how it works. You get a $12,000 raise. You move to a slightly nicer apartment, $300 more per month. You upgrade your car because you finally feel like you can, another $400 per month in payment and insurance. You start eating out more because you deserve it, maybe $250 more per month in restaurants. You join a gym that costs $80 instead of the $25 one. You buy better clothes when you travel for work. You start getting your hair done at a better salon. None of these individual decisions are dramatic. Every single one feels earned. But add them up, 300 plus 400 plus 250 plus 80 plus the incidentals, you've just spent $1,030 per month of that raise, $12,360 per year. Your $12,000 raise didn't build any wealth at all. You paid it directly to your lifestyle in the form of tax. A 2025 Goldman Sachs report found that 41% of Americans earning between $100,000 and $150,000 described themselves as living paycheck to paycheck. Read that carefully. These are not people in poverty. They are solidly middle to upper middle class earners, people who earn more than 80% of American households, and nearly half of them feel they have no meaningful financial cushion. The lifestyle tax collected everything the income could have built. The 2025 Charles Schwab Modern Wealth Survey found that Americans believe they need $2.3 million to feel financially secure. Meanwhile, the median net worth of Americans between 35 and 44, the prime earning and building years, is approximately $135,000. That gap isn't explained by income. It's explained by what happens to income after it arrives. Now, here is the exact mechanic that the quietly wealthy understand and almost everyone else misses. Wealth is not income. Wealth is the gap between your income and your cost of living, compounded over time. A person earning $70,000 who spends $48,000 has $22,000 of annual wealth-building capacity. At 8% annual returns invested consistently, that $22,000 per year grows to approximately $1.1 million over 25 years. They never earned a six-figure salary. They retire with over $1 million. A person earning $110,000 who spends $107,000 has $3,000 of annual wealth-building capacity. Over the same 25 years, that grows to approximately $219,000. They earned significantly more. They retire with a fraction of the wealth. The lifestyle tax is the mechanism that keeps the gap from widening, and the 15 rules I'm about to share are the exact ways the quietly wealthy eliminate it. 5 dimensions, 3 rules each. Let's go. Rule 1. Calculate the lifestyle tax on every major purchase before you buy. Most people calculate one number before a purchase. The quietly wealthy calculate a different number, the ongoing annual cost of owning it. A $35,000 car isn't a $35,000 decision. It's a decision that includes $580 per month in loan payments over 60 months, $180 more per month in insurance than a used car, higher registration fees, higher maintenance costs on a newer vehicle, and the depreciation, which runs approximately $4,000 in the first year alone. The true first-year lifestyle tax on that car purchase is closer to $12,000, not $35,000, and it continues for 5 years. Before any significant purchase above $500, the quietly wealthy ask one question: what will this cost me per year to own, not just to buy? That single question kills the majority of lifestyle inflation before it starts. Rule 2. Apply the cost per day test to everything. This is the only honest measure of value, and it reframes spending decisions in a way that no other calculation does. A $400 jacket worn 200 days over 4 years costs $2 per day. A $150 jacket worn 15 times costs $10 per day. The expensive item is cheaper. A $2,000 mattress slept on every night for 10 years costs 55 cents per day, probably the best value in your entire home. A $1,200 treadmill used twice a month for 2 years costs $25 per use. That's an absurd cost per day for something taking up floor space and collecting laundry. When you start calculating cost per day instead of purchase price, impulse purchases collapse immediately, and the truly worthwhile purchases, the ones you use daily, the ones that genuinely improve your life, become obvious. Rule 3. Never let a sale create a purchase you wouldn't have made at full price. The retail industry has perfected a psychological mechanism, the discount that turns a non-purchase into a purchase. 40% off creates the illusion that you're saving money, but if you wouldn't have bought it at full price, the discount didn't save you 40%, it cost you 60%. The quietly wealthy have a simple filter. Would I buy this at full price? If the answer is no, the discount is irrelevant. They walk away. This one rule alone eliminates a category of spending that most people never even identify. The money they spend not on things they wanted, but on deals that manufactured the wanting. Rule 4. Define enough before you earn more. This is the most important rule on this list, and almost nobody does it. Most people operate on an implicit assumption. When I earn more, I'll feel more financially secure. What actually happens is that lifestyle expands to consume the new income within 12 to 18 months, and the anxiety returns at the new level. This is called hedonic adaptation, and it applies to money as reliably as it applies to anything else. The quietly wealthy break this cycle by defining enough before income growth. They decide specifically, in writing, what level of housing genuinely satisfies them, what car actually meets their needs, what food, travel, and experiences make them feel genuinely well-lived, not just socially signaled. They name a number. I need this much per year to live a life I genuinely enjoy. Then they earn towards that number. When income exceeds it, the surplus doesn't become a new lifestyle floor, it becomes wealth. Rachel defined enough at $38,000 of annual personal spending when she was 29. She's earned more than that every year since. The gap between $38,000 and $84,000 has been building her retirement for 9 years. Rule 5. Invest in skills before you invest in lifestyle. There is one investment with returns no index fund can reliably match, a skill that increases your earning capacity. A $2,000 certification that adds $15,000 to your annual salary delivers a 650% return in year 1. A $500 course that enables a side income stream of $800 per month pays back in 19 days. The quietly wealthy consistently prioritize skill investment over lifestyle investment, especially in their 20s and 30s, when compounding time is the longest. Every dollar spent on a capability that earns more for the next 20 years is worth $10 spent on an object that depreciates from the moment you buy it. The rule is simple. Before any significant lifestyle upgrade, ask whether there is a skill or capability investment with a higher return. There almost always is. Rule 6. Treat your savings rate as non-negotiable before everything else. Here is the formula most people use without realizing it. Earn income, pay all expenses, save whatever is left. The result is almost always save nothing because there is nothing left. The quietly wealthy flip this completely. A fixed percentage, minimum 15%, ideally 20%, moves from income to investment accounts automatically the day the paycheck arrives, before any spending decision is made. This isn't a willpower strategy, it's a structural elimination of the decision entirely. A 2024 Vanguard study found that people enrolled automatically in retirement plans contributed at 40% higher rates than those enrolled manually. The behavior didn't change, the structure did. The quietly wealthy understand this and engineer their financial systems so the right behavior is the default, not the exception that requires discipline. Rule 7. Everything you own costs money twice. The purchase price is the entry fee. The second cost, storage, maintenance, insurance, mental energy, opportunity cost, is often larger over time. The quietly wealthy calculate both before buying anything significant. A boat doesn't cost $30,000. It costs $30,000 to buy, $3,000 per year in maintenance, $1,500 in insurance, $2,400 in storage fees, and several hundred in registration and incidentals. The ongoing lifestyle tax on that boat is $7,000 or more per year. Over 10 years, you've paid $100,000 in ongoing costs on a $30,000 purchase, and the boat is now worth $12,000. Before any significant purchase, the quietly wealthy ask, what will this cost me to own per year? If that number multiplied by 10 added to the purchase price still feels worth it, they buy. Most things don't survive this calculation. Rule 8. Apply the disappearance test to everything you already own. Walk through your home and look at each object. Ask yourself honestly, if this disappeared today, would I spend money to replace it? For most items in most homes, the honest answer is no. The bread maker, the second set of dishes, the exercise equipment, the clothes not worn in 18 months. These items exist through inertia, not because they provide ongoing value, but because getting rid of things requires effort and keeping them requires nothing. But they do cost something. They cost storage space, which has real dollar value. They cost mental energy. Every object in your field of vision consumes a small slice of cognitive attention. Researchers have found that visual clutter measurably increases cortisol levels. Your excess stuff is literally stressing you in ways you can't consciously perceive. Items that fail the disappearance test have negative value. Removing them costs you nothing and returns space, clarity, and, if sold, actual money. Rule 9. Replace only when function fails, not when novelty fades. The average American replaces their smartphone every 2.3 years, usually before any meaningful decline in function. The new model has a slightly better camera, the display is marginally brighter, the processor is fractionally faster for tasks that were already instant. Over 30 years, this single habit costs $30,000 to $50,000 in unnecessary purchases before you calculate what that money would have compounded to if invested. Applied across every category where upgrade culture operates, cars, furniture, appliances, clothing, electronics, the lifetime cost exceeds $200,000 for the average household. The quietly wealthy maintain a standard that sounds obvious and is genuinely difficult to follow. Something gets replaced when it cannot perform its function. Not when something newer exists, not when boredom sets in, not when a colleague upgrades. When the thing actually fails. That standard alone separates them from the default consumer pattern that the entire retail economy depends on. Rule 10. Understand the visibility trap and opt out of it deliberately. Thorstein Veblen, a sociologist writing over a century ago, identified the mechanism that drives most American consumer spending. He called it conspicuous consumption, the purchase of goods not for their utility, but for the signal they broadcast to others. A $50,000 watch tells time identically to a $50 watch. The extra $49,950 buys a signal, a broadcast to an audience that is, for the most part, too consumed by their own financial stress to notice or care. The quietly wealthy ran this math and found it doesn't hold up. This is what I call the visibility trap, spending real financial resources to perform a version of wealth to an audience that isn't paying attention, using money that could have built the actual thing you're trying to appear to have. Danielle is paying a lifestyle tax to look wealthy to people who are themselves too busy looking wealthy to notice. Rachel stopped performing wealth a long time ago and started building it instead. Opting out of the visibility trap is not a one-time decision. It's a practice, a daily recognition that the pull towards status spending is structural, constant and designed by the people who profit from it. Naming the mechanism makes it easier to resist. Rule 11. Separate your identity from your spending. Here is the deeper psychological mechanism underneath Rule 10. Most people have allowed their spending to become their identity. The restaurants they eat at, the car they drive, the neighborhood they live in, the brands they wear. These function as expressions of who they are and what they've achieved, and that makes every spending reduction feel like a personal diminishment, not a financial decision, but a statement about their worth. The quietly wealthy separated their identity from their spending a long time ago. They know who they are without needing to express it through consumption. This is not austerity, it's freedom. When your sense of self isn't tied to what you buy, you can make financial decisions based on math rather than ego. And the math, as we've seen, always points the same direction. A 2013 study from Princeton found that financial anxiety reduces effective cognitive bandwidth by the equivalent of 13 IQ points, comparable to losing a full night of sleep. This effect occurs even at moderate income levels when financial margin is thin. The quietly wealthy protect their cognitive capacity by protecting their financial margin. The two are directly connected. Rule 12. Use the 72-hour rule for every non-essential purchase. Impulse purchases are not random. They follow a predictable emotional pattern: trigger, desire, friction, decision. The retail industry has spent decades reducing friction. One-click purchasing, stored credit cards, buy now, pay later, same-day delivery, because friction is the only thing standing between desire and a purchase that you'll rationalize afterward. The quietly wealthy reintroduce friction deliberately. Before any non-essential purchase above $100, they wait 72 hours. Studies show that more than 70% of purchase impulses fade within 24 hours if not acted on immediately. 72 hours eliminates the vast majority of spending that feels necessary in the moment and unnecessary the next morning. This isn't about deprivation. It's about ensuring that the money you spend on discretionary items is going to things you actually genuinely want, not to impulses that the environment generated and your emotional state amplified. Let me show you exactly what the lifestyle tax has cost Danielle and built for Rachel over the past 9 years, because the numbers are the point. In 2016, both sisters were in their late 20s and early 30s. Rachel was earning $61,000. Danielle was earning $67,000. The income gap was $6,000 in Danielle's favor. Rachel automated 18% of every paycheck, $10,980 per year, to a Roth IRA and a total market index fund. She kept her expenses at roughly $38,000 annually. She drove a used 2013 Corolla. She lived in a one-bedroom apartment she shared costs for with a roommate for the first 3 years. She spent $1,800 on a data analytics certification in year 2 that increased her salary by $9,000 the following year. Each individual decision looked like the kind of thing someone makes when they're quietly struggling. Danielle's income increased steadily, too. By 2019, she was earning $78,000. But the new income came with a new apartment, a lease on a Lexus, a wedding that costs $34,000, financed partly by credit cards, and a mortgage on a $380,000 home that required both her income and her husband's to service comfortably. Each individual decision seemed earned, reasonable, and proportionate to where her life was going. 9 years later, Rachel has $387,000 in invested assets, growing at historical market returns. Danielle has $41,000 in a 401k, mostly employer matching, and $27,000 in credit card debt. Rachel's net worth is approximately $428,000. Danielle's net worth, subtracting the credit card debt, the negative equity on the car lease, and the early-stage mortgage, is approximately $83,000. The gap between them is $345,000 on a $7,000 income difference at the start. That gap will continue to widen because Rachel's $387,000 generates approximately $31,000 in paper returns per year at 8%, independent of any additional contributions. The compounding is now running without her. Neither sister made dramatic mistakes. Neither got unusually lucky. Danielle made every decision that someone at her income level is socially expected to make. Rachel made every decision that someone at her income level is quietly judged for and accumulated almost $500,000 while her colleagues assumed she was just getting by. This is the lifestyle tax in full operation. And now let's finish the final 3 rules. Rule 13. Measure wealth in options, not objects. Conventional culture measures wealth by what you have: the house size, the car brand, the vacation frequency, the watch on the wrist, all visible, all communicable, all subject to comparison. The quietly wealthy measure wealth by what they can choose. Can you leave a job that's destroying your mental health without catastrophe? Can you handle 6 months without income? Can you take a calculated risk on an opportunity because you have real runway? Can you retire before you're too exhausted to enjoy it? These options aren't visible. They don't photograph well, but they are the only form of wealth that materially changes the texture of your daily life. The reduction of anxiety, the expansion of possibility, the ability to make decisions from a position of strength rather than fear. Every dollar spent on visible wealth is a dollar that cannot buy optionality. The quietly wealthy choose options over objects, consistently over decades. The result looks unremarkable from the outside and feels like genuine freedom from the inside. Rule 14. Protect the gap between income and expenses like it's the asset. Because it is the asset, not the car, not the house, not the wardrobe. The gap. The gap between what you earn and what your life costs is the raw material of every form of financial security. Investment returns are a function of it. Emergency resilience is a function of it. Career optionality is a function of it. Retirement timing is a function of it. Most people treat the gap as a residual, what's left after spending. The quietly wealthy treat it as the primary financial objective and build their spending life around preserving it. This reframe sounds subtle. The financial consequences over a lifetime are enormous. A person who protects a $20,000 annual gap between income and expenses, invested at 8% returns over 30 years, accumulates approximately $2.4 million. A person who allows that gap to collapse to $3,000 through perfectly reasonable lifestyle decisions accumulates approximately $360,000. The income was identical. The gap was not. Rule 15. Run your own race. Social comparison is the engine that powers the lifestyle tax. It is not a character flaw. It is a deeply embedded human mechanism, the constant, unconscious measurement of our position relative to the people around us. Social media did not invent it. Social media supercharged it by replacing the local comparison group, neighbors, colleagues, family, with a global highlight reel of the most expensive version of everyone's life. The quietly wealthy counter this with a single practice. They know their number. They have a specific, personal definition of financial independence, not their income bracket's definition, not their social group's definition, not what their college classmates appear to have, their own number, built around their own actual values and desired life. When you have a clear and specific financial destination, social comparison loses its power. A colleague's new car becomes genuinely uninteresting, not because you've suppressed the desire, but because you know exactly what that car payment would cost you in retirement timeline. The math makes the comparison irrelevant, and the ability to make the math irrelevant is one of the quietest, most powerful freedoms the quietly wealthy have built. Let me make this practical, based on exactly where you are right now. This week, calculate your lifestyle tax. Go through your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements and identify every expense that increased when your income increased, not essentials that got more expensive, but lifestyle upgrades that arrived with the raise. That number is your current annual lifestyle tax rate. Most people discover it's between $8,000 and $25,000 per year. Seeing the number is the first step to choosing differently. This month, set up one automatic transfer even $200, from your checking account to an investment account on the day your paycheck arrives. Not what's left after spending, before spending. This single structural change, maintained over time, does more for long-term wealth than any other single action. Set it up this month. Adjust the amount later, but start now, because every month you wait is a month of compounding you never get back. This quarter, apply the disappearance test to your 3 highest cost ongoing subscriptions and memberships. For each one, ask, if this disappeared tomorrow, would I pay to get it back? If the honest answer is no, cancel it this week. The money recovered is secondary to the practice of asking what things are actually worth to your actual life, not to the version of your life you're performing. This year, define your enough number. Sit with this seriously. It may be the most financially consequential hour you spend this year. What level of spending would let you live a life you genuinely enjoy? Not one you're proud to post about, but one that actually satisfies you. Write that number down, calculate the gap between it and your current income. That gap is your wealth-building capacity, and the lifestyle tax is whatever's currently filling it. If you implement even 5 of these 15 rules consistently over the next 5 years, your net worth will exceed anything a raise, a bonus, or a market run could produce in the same window. These rules don't require exceptional income, they require a different relationship with the income you already have. Here's what I want you to take from this video, because I think it reframes everything else. The quietly wealthy are not people who denied themselves what they wanted. They are people who, at some point, asked a question most people never ask seriously. What do I actually want? Not what signals success to the people around me, not what my income level is culturally expected to look like, not what my social circle considers normal. What do I, specifically, actually want from my life? And is my current relationship with money moving me towards it or away from it? When you ask that question honestly and answer it honestly, the 15 rules stop feeling like sacrifice and start feeling like obvious choices. Of course you protect the gap. Of course you opt out of the visibility trap. Of course you measure wealth in options rather than objects, because options are the only form of wealth that actually improves the texture of your daily life in the ways that matter. The reduction of fear, the expansion of possibility, the ability to choose a different life. The financial world is designed to prevent this question from being asked. Advertising manufactures desires you didn't know you had. Financing removes the friction of not having enough money right now. Social media curates the most expensive version of everyone else's life and delivers it to you continuously. The system is engineered to keep you spending before you've thought clearly about what you actually want. The lifestyle tax is what you pay when that system succeeds. The 15 rules are what you do when it doesn't. Rachel drives that 2018 RAV4 with 74,000 miles past a lot of nicer cars on her way to work. Her colleagues see it in the parking lot and quietly assume she hasn't quite made it yet. She has $428,000 in net worth at 38. She is on pace to retire at 54. She made that possible not through an exceptional salary, not through inheritance, and not through luck. She made it by learning to see the lifestyle tax before it was extracted, and by quietly refusing to pay it. The other sister posts beautiful photos of a life that is costing her $27,000 in credit card debt, and a mortgage that requires everything she earns to stay current. She looks wealthier than Rachel to everyone who sees her online. She is not. Both lifestyles are available on an ordinary American salary. The difference between them is not income. It's a decision made quietly in small moments, repeated thousands of times, about whether you want to own your money or whether you're comfortable letting your lifestyle own it. The math is overwhelming. Wealth is what you keep, not what you show. And every day you stop paying the lifestyle tax is a day it starts working for you instead. If this video changed how you see money, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm this matters. Subscribe, because your future self is going to want to keep watching. And if you know someone who's earning well but can't figure out where it all goes, share this with them. Sometimes the most important thing someone needs is just to see the invoice. I'll see you in the next one.